Hey, it's Inve. Today I'm here with a semi-comprehensive look at the changes included in patch 1.99 made by Irrelevant on the Armored Core Discord. The goal of this patch has been to bring weapons that suck into not sucking, so people can actually use them. The other main change from Regulation 1.4 is that explosive damage has been reduced by about 20%. Explosive damage is influenced by the frame rate in this game, and the damage numbers in Armored Core 4 Answer are built around the lower and less consistent frame rate of the PS3 and Xbox 360. The 20% reduction brings the explosive damage close to in line with the console versions. 1.99 is now included in all new downloads of AC4 and FA from my channel, but if you downloaded your game a while ago, there's an install guide in the description of this video. The installation process is super simple and takes about 5 minutes, download time included. With that out of the way, I'll be briefly talking about each category of weapons and showing the buffs on screen as we go. Let's get started. Almost every non-meta ARM weapon has received a buff of some kind, with the most significant reworks coming to the Altair and the Arsenic, both being converted into shotguns from their previous states. The other ARM weapons got less significant reworks, but each category has seen buffs across the board for less used weapons. Most rifles and assault rifles have gotten a flat buff to melee ability, with one notable standout being the Gano 2 NSSWR, which got a ton of buffs from its vanilla 1.4 version, and is now quite good in my opinion. The AR 0700 also got more buffs than most of its other rifle counterparts, with buffs to its reload time, melee ability, and PA attenuation. Sniper rifles, much like their rifle counterparts, have gained a flat melee ability buff across the board, which feels great. Machine guns other than the Motor Cobra got a few buffs, once again mostly to melee ability. Notably, the Kentuta got a small buff to its effective range. Gatling guns got several buffs, most notably to their bullet velocity. Now you can actually hit people with them, which is cool. Shotguns also got a buff across the board to their bullet velocities. Singular handgun got a bunch of small buffs, which I hope makes some pistolier builds show up online. The heavier of the two GA bazookas got a fire rate buff. Hand grenade launchers have gotten buffs across the board, which will hopefully drive their usage up. I don't think I've ever seen anyone use handheld grenade launchers in PvP, so this is a great change. Most of them have had their melee ability buffed and their projectile speed improved. Getting into laser weapons, as we mentioned earlier, the Altair has been converted into a laser shotgun, also getting a large buff to its melee ability in the process. The Canopus has been renamed to the Kurosawa and given a small buff to its projectile velocity, and the Vega has been given a melee ability. Our hanger weapons have also gotten a few buffs to their projectile speeds, magazines, and PA shred. Fluorite got a little bit lighter and a little bit less draining. On to our Kojima arsenal. As we mentioned earlier, Arsenic was converted into a Kojima shotgun, which I love. Arsene was also reworked, but I'm not gonna tell you how. Go figure it out, it's neat. The Kojima blade also has a lunge. Be careful using this online, it'll lose you some friends. Moving on to missiles, I'd like to highlight the 063 ANPM missiles, which have been converted into stealth missiles. They no longer appear on radar, resist flares, and move very slowly towards their target. I hate these so much, but also I love them. Other notable highlights are the MP0901 and the Osage, which now work. Previously, both missiles were pretty terrible at tracking their targets, and now they'll actually hit stuff. The other missiles are a bit less special, but most of them have received a buff in some form. Try them all out, you might like them a lot. A highlight of our back weapons category is the 050 ANSC Sniper Cannon, which has been reworked into a CQC sniper of sorts. Its stability breakpoint is 1500. The other back kinetic weapons have gotten a buff as well. Each buffed weapon will be on screen now for a moment. Moving on to the back-mounted energy weapons, I'd like to highlight the EC0300 and the EC0307AB. Both have gotten buffs to their projectile speed and are much more consistent in how often they actually hit enemies online. A few other EN weapons got buffs as well, and once again, they'll be on screen. In the Kojima department for back-mounted weaponry, my favorite addition is Insolence, a Kojima sniper cannon. Lethal Dose is now able to lock on, which might make it more useful, but probably won't, and Arsenicon has become a Kojima grenade launcher. Sweet. All back-mounted radars have received a buff to their ECM resistance, and equipping one will basically make you immune to ECM. Still probably not going to use them. Shoulder equipment has also received some buffs, most notably ECM becoming much stronger, the 051 flares getting some more flares, and the underused relation missiles getting some extra ammo. With that, we're done with the weapons and equipment. All that's left are frame parts, boosters, and FCSs. Starting with heads. Aaliyah and White Glint Head both got some buffs to their camera stat, with White Glint Head also getting a buff to its system recovery. Sola, or Salix, depending on what region you're in, Head's aerodynamic value was improved a bit, which should make it feel a little bit better. On to cores. Aaliyah core is a little bit less draining. The GA Sunshine core got several buffs, most notably to AP and energy drain, and Soldner core got a buff to its AP. Arms have also seen a few buffs. Both sets of GA arms, the 047 arms, the Hogeir arms, Lancel arms, Aaliyah arms, and Sola arms, all got a buff to their energy drain, which should make them easier to use. Linston arms got a buff to their PA and energy weapon skills, and Hilbert arms got a buff to their AP and energy weapon skill. A couple of weapon arms were buffed as well. Madness arms gained a lot more ammo and are much easier to hit things with. And Sati's arms got a buff to their projectile speed that will hopefully make them usable. Alright, head, arms, and core done. Time for leg. Linston legs drain a little bit less energy. Sabi's legs can carry a bit more. And Alicia legs can carry a bit more. Rygo legs got a buff to their quick boost duration. Okay, that was a lot of stuff, but we're still not done. On to the FCSs. Most of the underused FCSs got buffs, with my favorite of the buffs being the 063 FCS, gaining a slightly faster lock-on time. The other FCSs will be on screen now. On the generators. Most of the generators in the game have had their weight massively reduced. My favorite of these is the Gano 1 SSGL. Rygo also looks pretty appealing nowadays. The remaining buff generator stats will be on screen now. Main boosters are up next, and with a merciful single booster to cover, the Ekazar main booster has gotten a buff and is now a bit better. For side boosters, we have a single buff as well, the Ekazar arm booster, which I personally like a lot. And now our final set of buffs to Overt boosters. They're faster across the board. Stats on screen now. Alright, that was a lot of stuff. If you're still here and somehow not subscribed, please subscribe. This took a lot of effort and a couple days. Thanks again to Irrelevant for making all of this. It's awesome. Message him on Discord a lot and bother him all the time.